take risks and boost creativity. That's easy to say. But there's a mindset behind it that I started to understand years ago when I was 15 and riding my first scooter. It had the loving name Mona Lisa. Yes, today I would probably give it a different name, but whatever. Here in Germany, it is legal to ride such a scooter as a teenager. And that opened up a whole lot of opportunities for me. I was independent. I could go to soccer training, visit friends, and cruise with my older mates. Wherever and whenever I wanted. But most importantly, I could take girls to school with me. Simply great. But that wasn't enough. I wanted more. I wanted to be faster than my buddies and really impress the girls. So I started tinkering with my scooter. After school, at weekends, whenever I had time and pocket money. When I was younger, I often asked myself, how can I be the fastest and coolest with the least amount of money? So I reused old motorcycle parts from my dad's garage. And it worked somehow. And let me tell you one thing. I was fast. Everything went well until one night when, boom, I had a serious accident with my scooter. I broke both my arms, my wrist and my chin. I had lost control on a bumpy road. As I lay in hospital, I asked myself, was it worth it? Subconsciously, it was the first time I had thought about risk management. For me, it was always a trade-off between more speed, more coolness, and the risk of something going wrong. I had always seen that in a positive way. So I had to painfully learn that risk can sometimes happen. This shows that risk can go both ways. Positive as an opportunity, I am the fastest. And negative as a danger, I will have an accident. We are often only familiar with the classic negative definition of risk as something to be avoided. Our aversion to risk is deeply rooted in evolution. Throughout history, avoiding danger has often been crucial to survival. For example, to protect ourselves from predators or to find food. And that's why it's basically okay. What if we change this negative attitude? What if we overcome this aversion in certain situations and look at the opportunities? It is important to distinguish between real threats, which can have serious consequences, and constructive risks, which allow us to grow. Rather than avoiding risk in general, we should use them strategically. Constructive risks take us out of our comfort zone. They open new perspectives. They challenge us to break through existing thought patterns. And they force us to be inventive. The key is to identify constructive risks in a systematic way and to deal with them consciously. So instead of blindly focusing on risk avoidance, we should ask ourselves, which risk can help us think outside the box? And where and how can we find constructive risks? Creative solutions can help. And we often find them in the gray area. This does not mean that we are allowed to break the law or act in a morally reprehensible way. It means that we are allowed to question certain rules and established structures. Along the lines of, we've always done it this way. Can't we do it differently? In the case of my scooter, it was the homemade modification to the carburetor. To make it go even faster, I used brake cleaner for injection. When we assess risk, we should do so without emotion. And when we see opportunities, we should not hesitate. Having a new idea can happen very quickly. Turning it into reality requires a planned approach. So how exactly can we manage risk in a planned and conscious way? Here are 2 methods. Number 1, explore rather than avoid. The point is not to avoid risk, but to explore them. The clear boundary of outcomes, both positive and negative, makes a risk calculable, tangible. You can develop targeted measures to minimize the damage and maximize the benefits. As a young scooter tuner, I have often asked myself, what's the worst that can happen? My scooter won't start? And then I said, okay, then I take the bus. I get through it. So exploring the risk can take away the initial fear. Number 2, fail and iterate. This means consciously taking constructive risks to test different scenarios without crashing the whole project. By breaking it down into smaller controlled steps, failure remains localized. At the same time, you can try unconventional things and keep making adjustments. My ideas for new modifications often started on paper. I have tried and discarded many of them. Modifying the carburetor by injecting brake cleaner was certainly not my first idea. But it was definitely worth a try. And finally, this unconventional, creative idea turned out to be very effective. A lot can be learned from numerous tests and mistakes. Companies can also benefit from this. Spotify adopted it and now calls it fail fast, fail often mentality with success. And speaking of success, that's not me. But this is an outstanding example of successful and creative risk management in motorsport. This is legendary rider Valentino Rossi, better known as the Doctor. Rossi has built his career on taking and managing constructive risk. His ability to use risk strategically has not only won him numerous world championship titles. He had the reputation of being one of the most creative riders in MotoGP history. Rossi was known for testing the limits, but always in a systematic way. He saw risks not just as threats, but as potential for new opportunities and innovative strategies. He was notorious for his spectacular cornering moves, choosing the line more aggressively than any other rider. At first glance, this might seem like an unnecessary risk, but Rossi took these risks after spending hours in training, refining his techniques. The choice of such a risk was based on his excellent analysis of the track, his rivals, and his own abilities. He saw the potential of a new cornering strategy. Later braking times, driving off the ideal line, and steeper approach angles. Through trial and error, training, and constant iteration, this became a game changer. Valentino Rossi is a prime example of how constructive risk can be used as a tool to ensure long-term success. After my accident, risk management stayed with me. It was part of my studies, and today I work and consult in this field. To put these ideas into practice, I would like to introduce you to a simple framework, the risk model. It is my translation of risk management and the link to creativity. And by the way, it's an acronym for the word risk. It consists of 4 steps and starts with recognize. Recognize risk as a potential source of innovation. Don't be paralyzed by the fear of risk. The less emotional you are about risk, the freer the thoughts will be. And the freer the thoughts, the more time we have for the second point. Innovate. Develop creative solutions to use risk strategically. Think outside the box. Combine constructive risk to create different scenarios. And don't be afraid to try unconventional things. Just give it a go. Strategize. Plan how to manage risk to maximize the benefits and gain time. Risk management should not be practiced for its own sake, but to make your everyday life easier. Risk management is about managing resources. So a plan helps to identify what needs to be done and where we should invest our energy. Keep iterating. Learn from the results and adjust your strategy. It's okay to make mistakes. It's not about getting it right the first time, but it's about progress. Recognize, innovate, strategize, keep iterating. This model can help you see risks not just as enemies, but as partners. And creativity is part of the solution. A clear risk landscape gives us more than just an overview about opportunities and threats. It helps us prioritize actions and resources, and it gives us time to focus on what matters. It gives us the freedom to do new, creative, and unconventional things. Risks are part of life. They are a tool to unleash our greatest potential. Use risk to explore new avenues and take your ideas to the next level. Take risks with courage, because courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to continue when fear is great. Take risks, because the greatest breakthroughs come when we have the courage to jump into the unknown. Take risks and boost creativity.